All right, Certinus, you did a great job creating a color palette that has contrast in both hue and value. So you get some lights and darks. These two seem pretty similar. But that's the only thing. You can sort of take advantage of creating another option. The way you're using them in the logo, it's a little inconsistent, but I like the addition of color. I think that this version that's a little more monochromatic kind of is a little more successful than the multicolored one. You know what I'm saying?
Yes, sir.
Your hierarchy of information is good. The design is neat and it's got some good elements to it. You have these sort of green bars. They feel a bit sort of arbitrary. Like, do you know what I mean? Like they're just a thing. I don't know that you need them is what I'm saying.
Okay. Yes, sir.
So it would be better if you could create some sort of secondary pattern. Oh, there it is. I see it. That's nice. I need to put on my screen glasses.
Oh, yeah. Well, I turned the opacity. So should I turn the opacity up on those, and instead of using the green border, use the, I guess what I did in Letterhead instead, where the green border is.
These swirling electrons. I think you could use that. I would experiment with it a little bit at this moment because you're on solid ground. And so if you have time between now and Sunday, you could try some options with, keep it a low contrast pattern, but use the monochromatic icon and see what kind of pattern you get that could, and then eliminate those bars. Yeah, I think that would be a good experiment to see where you're going. But right now, this is solid ground. You're looking good.
Perfect. So you're saying use the monochromatic style that I use for the logo.
Business card. Yeah.
Okay. And then use that also where the green bars are and just turn them.
Try turning this monochromatic version of the icon into a low contrast pattern. And by that, I mean, if you had a background that was almost the same color as this orange color, but slightly either lighter, desaturated or darkened up.
Okay.
So that's the experiment you're going to try. So what you want to do is, take what you've got and create a copy, and then experiment and see if you like that.
Okay, perfect. Yes, sir.
All right, Ulysses. Right on time. This looks beautiful. You've done a great job. It has an elegant feel, very traditional. You use the watermark, which is appropriate for this particular brand. This nice low contrast, light green works really nicely as part of your palette. So you are, like I said, to Certinus, you are on solid ground. Here's what I want you to experiment with. Break out of the monochromatic. See what other colors. Now, you could also add elements such as a texture, for instance, gold, gold and green look really nice. Silver, maybe. Find photos of metallic silver or metallic gold and see how you could work that in as an additional element. Is that helpful, Ulysses, or driving you crazy?
I'm sorry. What I was trying to do was giving an effect of green foil. If you zoom in, it has a texture
I see
of green foil.
I thought it was just a gradient, but when I look closely, I see it.
And then on the background, it has like a very subtle lion head, like a very if you zooming on the
watermark.
Yes, a watermark.
Yeah, I sort of see it. It's pretty subtle, and it may just be how it's coming through in the PDF or something, but you can maybe beef that up. But but taking your icon and using it as a watermark behind the icon feels a bit redundant. I would try to, so if you look at the visual style that you've created with like this element, the little castle on a crown, castle crown, and you've got
Okay.
this geometric style, you could create additional elements that maybe become a pattern or other borders and things like that. And I'm only telling you this because, as I said before, you're on very solid ground, and I'm trying to push you to be over the top.
Okay, thank you.
See, like this little element, this bar, this is what I'm talking about. That's really nice.
Okay.
So see what you can come up with. Nice stamp, by the way, too.
Thank you very much.
You feel excited? You want to try it?
Yes, I will. Actually, I'm really liking the class.
Great. All right. Well, if you want to post something for tomorrow, I'll be back on tomorrow at noon and take a look. If you don't get it done by then, that's fine. Everything's due Sunday, as we all know.
Yes, and then do I have to do the page? I think it's 23 or 16 to 22.
Let's see, 22. No, 23 has the mock-up with everything in it. You should have that as well.
Okay, I was wondering about that.
Is it incorrect it's wrong in the assignment?
Okay, I just want to make sure, and I will have another. I'll try with the icons and with the crown, and I will turn it in tonight, and then I will be tomorrow. I will be at the live critique tomorrow. Then.
Awesome. All right, guys, I'm going to keep going through other people's
work. Thank you very much.
You're welcome to stay if you want.
Okay.
All right, Riz, you've got your logo worked out. Proceed with the rest of it. One thing I would say, instead of black, could this be a color, maybe a dark brown, a dark version of that? That might be better. This would also be better if these interior lines just here were not as thick, but I'm finessing. You're in good shape to go forward with the rest of the project. Fabi, I thought I saw a question from you about the assignment. The whole assignment is due Sunday. The discussion, of course, is for work in progress. Your logo is good. Here's a couple tips. Simplify. I don't think you need this red diamond shape. Take off the green stroke from the gear, and maybe just use two waves, the light green and the dark green, and combine the light green with this very light green. And that would sort of blend that together a little bit. I think if you simplify that icon a bit, that will work better. Your color palette is you're off to a great start because you've got good variation in both hue and saturation, brightness. I think this gray will work with your package design when we get into that next week. But I would simplify that logo, and then I'd proceed into your identity package. Let's see, Samantha, there we go. Dark Wave. So your logo is good, solid. I do feel like it's a little fussy lines, like they could be a little, maybe these are fills instead. And you've got a letterhead. You've got these little star-shaped things that are creating little bullets, which are nice. It could probably use a little more. Yeah, there's your phases of the moon. So more elements like that, and a sort of integrated look. Maybe there's a slight yellow background to the paper everywhere, or some texture or something like that. But you're on good solid ground. You just got, see, just creating a light gray on white. This creates a low contrast pattern, which is good because it works behind the type, but could it be two colors instead of gray and white? Think about that and see where that takes you. All right, we're just into Cheryl. Cheryl, this color palette has great variety in hue, not so much great variety in brightness and saturation. I think that you could use some lighter colors maybe, and then, you know, It's okay. When you use it, so this green and red, because green and red are complements, and these two colors are in the same range of value, it creates almost like a vibration. It's kind of hard to look at. So I would suggest you take the green and desaturate it a whole bunch so that it's like a very pale green, which might work better with that red. Your logo is struggling to be itself. I feel like you're rebuilding it wherever you use it. The little monkey guy is stretching. You've got it stretched and squished. The font you used, Impact, it looks like it has some sort of stroke or something on it, but it's like filling in. It's not a terrific font to use. Impact is a font created by Microsoft for PowerPoint and stuff like that. See, so a couple of things. Like if this is your lockup, then it should stay like this all the time. Now, it can't always go on a green background, so that means you'd have to keep this sort of green bar. It's just almost like an additional element. The monkey himself, great use of color. The line work in here is way too fine for an icon. And if you look, I would say go look at Glitzka Studio, see how he, instead of line work, he's got like separate shapes that work well, or even when he uses lines, sometimes there's like a thick outline around the outside, but then tapered thinner lines on the inside. Look at this stuff for inspiration and see if you can sort of, at the same time, simplify and sort of chunk this up so that it'll work better as an icon. And when you get that worked out, I think you'll find it works better. I can see that what you're doing is placing this in here and squishing it to make it fit. And in this case, maybe stretching it. You never want to do that. These licorice lines are a fun idea for a secondary element, where they sort of gather at the top. You're creating these sort of like chunky black parts. I would just maybe have them as lines instead. Maybe that could work. Overall, I just want you to get more sensitive to contrast. You've got really some harsh contrast, and you need to figure out how to create some more subtle contrast, less contrast. See it like your logo is gigantic on this letterhead. It should work simpler than this. And then putting complementary color out stroke on type is just really hard to look at. So you haven't quite found that balance yet. You've got all the elements you need, but I think I would take this green and make it a very light green. If you're using pink, you're just using pink in the lips and stuff. Yeah, I just think it's kind of like you have everything turned on full volume and you just need to tune it down a little bit. I hope that's helpful and not confusing, Cheryl. I know you're working really hard on this, so give it a whirl, and maybe we can talk tomorrow. I'll be on at noon tomorrow as well. All right, Allison, I like this logo. I wasn't sure about it, but it seems to come out pretty well. There's just a couple little funky things like these little tiny pieces that sort of created by the diamond pattern in there. I mean, I would work that out so that maybe the triangle aligns with that. So you wouldn't have that. And as far as colors go, it's pretty monochromatic right now. I would encourage you to explore other colors. Now, the complement of purple is yellow, but if you take yellow and bring the brightness down significantly, you'll end up with fudge color, believe it or not. So maybe that gets introduced somewhere. You're using secondary elements like as a pattern and your icon and low opacity or low contrast. That kind of works okay. The whisk. And so the main thing is color and experimenting, break out of the monochromatic, see if you can come up with some additional colors to work. Maybe this is in fudge color, the type. Take a look and hopefully that'll help you. All right, Adelaide, you are here.
Yeah, I just
Submitted.
Yeah, just submitted it in the discussion.
Do you know which?
You might need to refresh. It's that class.
This
that
class.
we were just
I had a feeling.
Yeah. There it is.
Awesome. Yeah. Wow, this is great. I like this. So this is a great icon, and if, at this level of where you are in school, this is excellent work. And I was just pointing out Glitzka Studios. If you look at the way Von Glitzka, this is some of his logo work, but the way he crafts this stuff with the line work, the negative space, you know, you could like put this really over the top, but yeah. I'm not saying you have to do that for this class, but I'm just pointing it out because I think it's this is one of the best icons for this brand that I've seen. I know you're sort of following the pyramid here, but I still feel like chocolate could be smaller. It's like a little bit smaller, but not enough smaller. Yeah. You could space out the lettering too.
Yeah, I was thinking that.
But very good progress. This looks terrific. Great use of color. Good palette. It's got chocolate. Your assigned color is that orange, but you still got chocolate in there. And typically I don't like black, but you're using sort of a black marble or stone.
Yeah, it's like a textured paper.
Yeah, that looks great. These additional elements are wonderful. You did the monochromatic over the black so they don't steal from the logo, which still draws the attention. You can't have dark letterhead.
Okay.
Because if you think about it, you have to put this in a laser printer to print the letter. So yeah, the type is always going to be black. But your exuberance for your brand's branded look is great. Same thing with envelope.
Okay.
But awesome work. You're rocking it. This is what you came on for your daily dose of praise.
I just wanted to make sure I was doing everything right. But
no,
yeah,
you
it's
are.
good to know that I should change the letterhead to like a different color. Should it be like completely white or?
It doesn't have to be stark white. It has to be light enough for black type to print on it and be legible.
All right.
So it can be a color, you know, in your case, you might take the lightest orange, yellow orange that you have here, and you could desaturate it a little more than what it is and use that as the background for paper.
Okay.
And it'll tie in nicely.
All right. Sounds good.
All right. Good job.
Thank you.
All right. Stephanie, another good one. This is looking really great. Let's go back through. So your logo has come out with the owl, the lightning bolts, indicating Thor's power, energy, the caffeine, Mount Olympus, a good palette, variation in hue and contrast value. You've got a pattern of little lightning bolts that's low contrast. That's great. And the blue is a nice rich contrast. See how that blue just looks super rich and deep because it's in contrast to the yellow. That's what makes it work. This is all good. I don't really have many changes for you. You're doing everything we're looking for. Nice work. All right, Ulysses, you're already doing good. And I went over this. Let's see, back to where we were. Did I do Samantha's? Yes. Adelaide, Cheryl, Allison, Stephanie, let's see. All right. And here we got, all right, Charles. This is doing what I'm looking for. You've got it coming together. It looks pretty good. Your logo is gigantic here. It should be much smaller on letterhead. If you guys go to Behance and look for identity packages. Let's see what comes up. Not everything's a great example. A lot of them include, you can see how complex they can get. Let's see. Let's look at this one. Color palette. This is where you're headed. This is the stuff that you're doing. This is giving me everything. Business card. Is there a letterhead? No. Let's look at letterhead. Yeah, there you go. That's a mock-up. This one creates an area like a header at the top of the letterhead for the logo to live in. But even this is like about maybe 1/6 of the page, taking up that space. Same thing here. This one has sort of let's get to the letterhead. Where is it? All about how the logo was done. This has about 1/5 of the top. These are both pretty generous spacing for the top area where the logo is. Let's see. If you think about pages you've seen, you want to just sort of get an idea for the proportions. Like this is more typical. It's about 1/5 or 1/6 of the page. So this is like half the page, which is dramatic. Also, this pattern, which looks interesting, probably could be lower contrast. And as you look at a pattern that fits into a shape, you want to make sure that you're not like cutting it off midway. You want to position, I would probably shrink this within the shape using the scale tool and just make sure patterns is selected and shrink it down so that you see more of it. And it could be a little lower contrast. The watermark feels a little heavy-handed, and since it's mostly line work, it's not really working. I would just ditch that. Keep this to the top part of the page. Your business cards are good. Your color palette has very strong colors, similar in value. You're like using everything right out of the box, kind of. I would come up with some much more desaturated, lighter color, maybe for the background of the paper. You know, you could take this yellow down to like a 15% yellow and use that for a paper color. It might be really nice looking. Your design elements are coming together well. Just some finessing, really, Charles. So, yes, Mary, you are doing. Yeah, I saw this. So, Café de Provence, your logo is good. I don't think you need the square. And then I would configure your type this is tricky because this is a tough brand. The name Café de Provence, it means Cafe of Provence. Provence, the brand. So you'd want that to be bigger, and Café du smaller. So you can sort of look at how you might configure the type so that it's a little more prominent under the icon, and ditch the square. You don't need that. The very dark blue feels a little out of place. This is your assigned color. When I look at this palette, I just want to make this more purple. It's not even, it doesn't seem to match this blue. It looks a little purple, but I would make it purplier. That makes sense. And then you want to give some hierarchy to your type. Delete where it says name colon, title colon. You don't need that. Look at business cards on Pinterest or on Behance, and just get a feel for how the information is organized and how it sets up. And then you can't have a dark color for your envelope and your letterhead because the type will always be in black on there. So you have to come up, so if you come up with a very light color, like maybe this brown becomes a very, very light, desaturated, add more white, and that could be a nice tonal color for paper in these elements. But you're making progress, and I think these tweaks will help it come together nicely. You can think about additional elements that would help tie it together a little more. This pattern of fields, rows, maybe that could become a pattern or something. So keep going on that. All right, I think I've critiqued everybody. I hope that this is helpful. And I look forward, you guys are doing good work. I look forward to seeing more work tomorrow. I'll be on at noon. Any questions, let me know.